few moments to get logged in as they're coming in from the young adult group. So we're going to just hang tight for a few minutes and let everyone get settled, and we will begin shortly. Just a few announcements while everyone's coming in. I want to make sure that everyone knows that the exhibit hall is open. And we want you to please go in and interact with our vendors, visit their booth. Once you're in the exhibit hall, when you click a booth, it will open up chats and things where you can interact with the members of their teams that are in the booths. All of the banners and screens are clickable to other resources and information that they all have available for you. So I encourage you all to make sure you do that. The exhibit hall will be open well beyond this evening, beyond the conference. So even if you come in after we have our magic screening bracelet, or the magic bracelet screening, it'll be open and you can still click around, or you can come back in the morning even before sessions start. So I want to encourage you all to do that. Also a reminder, at 6 o'clock, we have a screening of the magic bracelet, and we are really excited to have an award-winning writer and director of the film that are going to be live with us from Los Angeles. So that will be a really exciting time, and it's a family-friendly movie. So we hope everybody will join in with their families, grab a bowl of popcorn, and kick back and relax. I know it's been a long day, so it'll be a good opportunity just to sit back and have some good family time with us. So I think let's go ahead and get started. So as we all know, nutrition is a critical element of disease management for all FAOD patients. This afternoon, we have two amazing speakers who are experts in nutrition for our community. Mary Sowa has worked at CHOP Children's in the city of Orange, California for 28 years and in metabolism for the past 18 years. She has a specialty certificate in pediatric nutrition. As a GMDI active member, she has participated in conference planning and the education committee and is currently serving as GMDI president. In addition, she has served as the co-chair for the VLCAD nutrition guidelines and toolkit, which we'll be learning about here today. Sandy Van Calcar has been a metabolic dietitian for over 30 years at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and more recently, Oregon Health and Science University in Portland. Sandy was a founding member for Metabolic Dietitians International, GMDI, and served as president of this organization from 2013 to 2015. She served as chair for the VLCAD Nutrition Guidelines Project. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Van Calcar and Mary Sowa. Ladies, it's all yours.
Okay. Thank you very much for Inform and Mito Action for inviting us to give this talk today. The title of our talk is Practical Tips from the VLCAD Nutrition Guidelines and Toolkit. And I will start out the presentation. First of all, neither Mary or I have any conflicts of interest in this area. So the objectives of this talk are to describe the key recommendations from the VLCAD Nutrition Guidelines, provide practical tips from the guidelines, and to identify resources to help manage the nutrition care of those with VLCAD. I will say that this talk does focus on VLCAD management, although many of the principles that we will be talking about do apply to the other long-chain fatty acid oxidation disorders as well. So the Nutrition Management Guidelines was a project that was started about 10 years ago. It is sponsored, the PI is Dr. Ronnie Singh from Emory University, and the Southeast Regional Genetics Network started this project with HRSA funding. CERN provides the infrastructure for the project, and then Genetic Metabolic Dietitians International, GMDI, provides the people to work on the guidelines. So the guidelines, the overall purpose is to foster optimum nutrition management of individuals with inborn errors and to reduce the uncertainty and variability in the management of these patients. So VLCAD is the fourth guideline. The first guideline completed was for maple syrup urine disease in 2014, PKU in 2016, propionic acidemia in 2019, and then VLCAD. So the web-based guideline was up and running as of last spring, and we have just submitted a manuscript describing the nutrition management guidelines. So a little background about VLCAD. So VLCAD is the initial step in mitochondrial fatty acid oxidation. So I'm sure you are all familiar with this pathway, but we have the carnitine cycle. The fatty acid acyl-CoA enters the mitochondrial matrix, and VLCAD is the first enzyme in the beta oxidation spiral and works on fatty acids that are 20 to 14 carbons long. There are over 100 pathogenic variants in the VLCAD gene. It is inherited in an autosomal recessive pattern. In newborn screening, the primary marker is acylcarnitine with 14 carbons and 1 double bond. Other long chain acylcarnitines are also elevated. And certainly with the initiation of newborn screen for fatty acid oxidation disorders, the incidence of VLCAD has increased. So before newborn screening, these individuals were identified by clinical symptoms, and the estimated incidence was 100 to 120,000 births. After newborn screening, we started picking up many individuals with milder forms of this disorder, and the incidence is now estimated at about 30 to 40,000 births. VLCAD has a wide range of phenotypes, and the treatment varies with the severity of the enzyme defect. The classification for VLCAD includes severe, moderate, and mild forms of the disorder. Severe VLCAD, also called the cardiac phenotype, presents early in life if not treated, and typically the first symptoms will be cardiac, with cardiomyopathy as the primary concern. The next group, moderate VLCAD or hypoketotic hypoglycemia. These kids tend to remain asymptomatic until under stress, especially in illness, and then they will present with low glucose levels and low ketone levels. And then probably the largest group is mild VLCAD or late onset. These are individuals that remain asymptomatic and in most cases can handle illness without developing VLCAD-related complications. However, typically in adolescence or early adulthood, some of these individuals will start to develop muscle symptoms, muscle weakness, muscle pain, episodes of rhabdomyolysis. We are not good at this point at knowing if somebody with a mild form of the disorder is going to develop these clinical complications when they're older. And that is one thing that we definitely need to learn more about. Of these three, the mild and moderate forms are usually asymptomatic when they're picked up by newborn screening. This is where you find the guidelines at southeastgenetics.org. We're here. You can go to the guidelines portion and choose one of the disorders, which in this case, you'd want to read the VLCAD guidelines. We also have a toolkit. This is designed for especially dietitians to use the guidelines. So we have case studies and also many resources that the dietitians can use when they're treating their patients. So again, here under toolkits, you can select VLCAD. These are open to the public, so anybody can have access to view these materials. Oops. A couple of the resources in the toolkit include 2 consumer resources. One is frequently asked questions, and another is a consumer summary of the guidelines. These are available for clinics to provide to their patients, or patients can access them directly through the CERN website. So when we identify somebody with potential VLCAD by newborn screening, really all we know is whether the baby is asymptomatic or symptomatic. So our primary way of treating these is if the baby is asymptomatic, we can treat them as having a mild form of the disorder and allow breastfeeding or continuation of a standard infant formula, again, as long as the infant remains asymptomatic and is growing well. If the newborn is symptomatic, then we will treat them